Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. My name is Jessica Zaro, and I'm the Marketing and Outreach Coordinator here at Bywater Solutions. And thank you for joining us for the Discover Koha webinar. Today, we'll be walking you through both the Koha OPAC and the Koha staff client to see what features are available for your staff along with your users. I'll take a minute to introduce my colleagues on here with me. We have Josh Barron, who is the East Coast representative. Josh, if you want to say hello.
Hello, everyone.
And then we also have with us Adam Brooks, and he is our West Coast representative.
Hi, everyone. I'll post my information, contact information in the chat.
Josh and Adam will both be watching over the chat and the Q&A during this session. So if you have any questions at any time, please feel free to put those questions in there and they'll be going through and looking at those. At the end, I will leave some time for any type of Q&A, whether it's to talk about the migration process or functionality within Koha itself. We'll be happy to answer additional questions at the end. So I'll jump right in. A little bit about what we do here. Bywater Solutions is a support company for open source products. We support Koha, which is of course the open source ILS. We've been supporting that since 2009. Right now we have about 1,500 libraries worldwide that we support. If you're interested in looking at other partner libraries, you can come to our About section and click on Library Partners. That'll give you a breakdown of the libraries that we support worldwide. And then if you scroll down a little bit further, you can even see a breakdown by academic, public, and special. If you're interested in taking a look at any of those libraries, you can absolutely click on any one of those links, and that will actually take you out to their OPAC, so you could see a little more information and kind of get an idea of what some of the libraries and how they have those things customized on their OPAC. So it's a good place to start. We provide the migration, implementation, training and education, hosting, and then of course, ongoing support of Koha for your library. So we take you through that whole process. The migration is usually from about 4 to 6 months from the beginning to the end, and we go through that whole process with you. Making sure that you feel comfortable and getting you ready to get onto your Koha system. So what I'll do is I'm going to jump right into the Koha OPAC, and I'll take you through how the user sees things, some of the search functionality, and then we'll jump onto the staff side and look at that as well. So what you're seeing here is a model site that we have for Bywater Solutions, and this can be customized with the look and feel of your library. You can pull in all types of information about websites that you may have access to, databases, digital content. You can pull in your social media sites, your hours of operation. You can even link out or have chat widgets. So if you're communicating with your patrons via chat, you can embed videos on there. And then of course you see we have some cover images that are just flowing across the front. That's called the a cover flow, and that allows you to highlight certain titles in your collection. A nice way to get people driving people into content. There's lots of customization that you can do. I'll just show you just a few here of my favorites. This is a little bit of a different look. You can see this is Hollis Social Library. You'll notice over here on the left-hand side, they have a nice navigation menu that links them out to other resources in the library. Their cover flow is a little bit different. You can see you have options that are a little rounded buttons. So there's lots and lots of customizations that you can do. That's all part of the support we provide at Bywater Solutions. We have a web designer on staff that will work with you to get your OPAC up and running. Now, of course, if you have somebody on staff that's really comfortable with HTML and CSS, they can absolutely update that information too. So let's talk a little bit about the search features. When your patron or your customer comes to the site, they can easily begin the search process by coming to the search bar. It will default to a keyword search here. You'll notice where it says catalog. However, the user can switch to search by title or author or series information. If you're a multi-branch system, they can even break down and search by a particular branch. We do have integration with EBSCO's EDS discovery platform, which also would allow your users to search the EDS platform along with your catalog results from Koha. So nice integration there for the system. Once the user comes in and they perform a basic search, this will bring back results in your collection, and it uses an elastic search mechanism. So that elastic search is bringing back results in the system where you can see they are ranked by relevancy over here on the right-hand side. We have integration with recorded books, Overdrive, and Cloud Library. We're working on a development with Hoopla right now, so your users can actually see those results right in line with their search. So I can see that 4 results were found in the recorded books collection. So if I click on that link, that will actually keep me right within the catalog and I can see those titles right away. So this is a nice feature that you can integrate real-time results. If your user is logged in, you can see right now I'm logged in as Frank Thomas. And so as I'm logged in, I can see that information right away, which allows me to actually check out an item. So if I wanted to check out this leaving normal, I could select that checkout. It gives me a pop-up asking me if I'm sure I want to check it out. And then I can check that book out right away. It gives me a little notification letting me know that it is checked out. I can download it and I can even check it in. Once we get into the patron's account information, I'll take you a step further where you can see a little more about that. Now let's do a basic search here where maybe I'm looking for a print or a DVD media option. When I do that search, again, you'll see it brings back results for Overdrive or recorded books. So again, depending on what platform that you subscribe to at your library. Over here on the left-hand side, we're going to have some facets. Now those facets allow me to drill down so I can see a little more information. If I'm looking for a particular item type or material type, I could drill down by, let's say, book. If I want to see items that are currently available, I can select that. If I'm looking for a particular location in the library, maybe, you know, young adult or teen or a specific series, even a holding branch, there's several facets here that the user can drill down by. Now on this first page, you're going to see my results are ranked by relevancy again. Now I can hit that drop down menu if I want to look by either, you know, acquisition date or title or popularity. This will tell the user right away if an item is available. So I can see some quick information right here. Edition, material type, the copyright date, and then of course availability. So I can see at least 1 copy is available at the South branch, and then I have 2 that are pending on a hold. If I am interested in this particular audio version of the record, I can come in here and select that title and then go in and look at a little more information. So here I can see the summary. I can see additional subject headings, which allow me to actually click on those links and see if there's any other titles that match that subject. If I come down a little bit further, I can see the holding information. So now I can see that it's an audio CD. I can see the collection code. I can see the call number. And here I can see that this one has 2 pending holds. Now, in this case, I'm set up where I have a multi-branch system. So I can see that there's other holdings here and there is 1 copy that is available. Now, some nice features here for your patron. If they're using the OPAC from their mobile device, Koha is built on a responsive theme, meaning you do not need an app for your phone. They can access it right from the browser within their mobile device. They can actually browse the shelf, so they can see what other titles might be sitting on the shelf next to these particular items. So they can kind of just go right through and see that. Some other highlights here of the holding table are Novelist Select. So if you subscribe to EBSCO's Novelist Select, you'll be able to integrate with Koha so your users can see right away some similar titles, similar authors, and any other additional information that's coming through, like your accelerated reader information and so on. So this is a nice way to bring that integration right into the system. Koha does have some accelerated options for your patrons to, I always like to say these are like social settings, and this allows your user to rate the particular title so they can give it a 1 to 5 star. And if you are up to it, you can even turn on the option to write comments. This would allow the user to write a comment about this title. Comments do have to be reviewed before they are visible on the OPAC by the staff. Now, over on the right-hand side, your user will be able to do a few things. Place a hold on this particular item, save it to a list, which would be a way for them to save a list of titles in the collection. And then they can also add it to the cart. The cart is a nice feature which allows them to temporarily add something to the cart, and then they can either print it, or email it to themselves. They can even download it. So nice options there. You can also link out to some other catalogs. So here I have a few resources that are free, so I can link out to WorldCat, Bookfinder, Open Library, or Google Scholar. If your library participates in any type of reciprocal borrowing or consortia, you can also link out there. So just some nice options. You'll notice that we do have 2 other views here. One is a MARC view, so if you want to look at the MARC view of the record, and then also the ISBD view, which would give you a quick card catalog view of that record. Let's talk about some of the options that your user has within their account. So if I go up to the top of the screen, you'll notice that that allows me to log into my account, where I can see titles that are checked out, anything that is overdue in the collection that I may have, and then also any type of charges that may be there. So it'll show me that right now I have charges of $11.50. If I click on that, that will actually take me in where I can see a breakdown of like those accruing fines that I may have for some titles in there. I do have an option to pay via PayPal. So Koha does have integration with PayPal where the user can come in and select that and make a payment. If they make a payment via PayPal, it will send that information back to the staff client so you can see additional information in the staff side. There's all types of options that you can turn on for your patrons or customers, allowing them to update personal details like their phone number or their email address, changing their password. So if they want to make it something stronger, they can absolutely do that. There's all types of options for reading history or your circulation history. Koha can retain it. Koha can anonymize it, or you can give your patron or customer the option to set their own privacy, and we call this privacy management. This allows your user to come in and select if they want to keep their history forever, if they want to delete it, or use the default of the library. And the default of the library could be to keep it for, let's say, a year or 2 years. That's totally up to you. You can set that up during your migration process. They also have the option to delete it immediately from the system. Koha does have a purchase suggestion form that's built in. This allows your user to come in and submit a title that will get sent back to the staff side, where your staff members can process that. If they decide to purchase it, they can even take it through the acquisitions module and really give it that whole life cycle of that particular item, from the suggestion to the acceptance to the ordering, and then of course the receiving. And you can notify your patron throughout all of those steps in the process. There's various messaging preferences. This allows your user to decide how they want to receive notifications from the library. Koha can send emails, SMS. Of course, your staff can print things and mail them. There is an optional third-party connection for automated phone calls with ITIVA that allows you to set up automated phone calls that go out from the system. But here you can see the user can select proactive messages. So these are going to be things like reminders that items are due, when a hold is ready for pickup, and then of course when items are checked out or checked back into the library. Those are all, as I like to remind you, proactive messages. So these will remind the user that things need to come back or are ready for pickup. Now, there are a few other features within the OPAC that help the user find what they're looking for. There is an advanced search feature, which allows the user to come in and drill down a little bit further. So you can see they have their Boolean connectors here. They can drill down by a particular item type, shelving location, that would be where the item physically lives in the library, and then of course a collection code. Collection codes in Koha are going to describe where something actually, like a specific code, or describe like what it is, romance, Western, genealogy, things like that. Then they can also drill down by publication, a particular language, location of a particular branch or campus, and then of course sorting, if they're looking for a specific acquisition date, maybe newest to oldest. They can also perform an authority search. So if they're looking for a particular authority in the system, they can run that search and it will bring back a table of results where they can see actually the details, which would give them the authority record itself. And then of course, they can see which bibliographic records that it's connected to. So if I click on that to Biblios, it will bring back the list of those titles in my collection. And you'll notice here that I actually have cover images that are populating. So there's free versions that you can use in Koha. It's called a Koshi server. And that Koshi server allows you to pull in images from Amazon, Google Jackets, or Open Library, and those are all free versions. Now, if you subscribe to things like Syndetics or Content Cafe, you can absolutely still continue to use that subscription, and that integrates very easily with Koha as well. I'm just going to come back to the beginning. So lots of options for customizing your OPAC, making it really easy. You'll see over here on the right-hand side for my user, they can tell right away they have 2 checkouts, anything that's pending holds in the system, so they can come in and see right away that they have 5 things on hold, a few things that are pending, waiting for those items to be triggered or trapped. And then of course, one that is ready, getting ready for transit to pick up at the library. The user can, of course, cancel or suspend holds from this screen. So if I click cancel, that will remove it directly from this list. Now, if the user, let's say, was not logged into the system and they're coming for the first time, you'll notice here that they have an option to reset their password. So if I forget what my password is, I could come in and enter my username and my email. Usernames could be card numbers, they could be a first initial, last name, and then that will email them a link to reset their password. There's also a self-registration form that can be customized by your library. And this allows the user to set up their information here online and submit their information to get a card at the library. So there's some nice features for online users as well. All right, so now that we've taken a look at the user interface, let's jump over to the staff client. Now this is where your staff will be performing their day-to-day activities. So what you can see right here is the Koha staff client. And remember, Koha is web-based, so that means you do not need a client downloaded on all of your staff computers. As long as your staff members have a browser on their desktop or laptop or even mobile device, they will be able to come in here and easily access any of the modules that they have access to. Now again, I'm logged in as a super librarian, so I have access to all of the modules that are in Koha. You can easily set up each one of your staff members to have certain permissions. So for example, if you have staff that may only work on the, let's say, circulation desk or your frontline staff, when you're setting up their permissions, you can have them just have access to certain functionality like checking items in and out, adding or modifying patron information, placing and modifying holds for patrons, and additional things like that. There's multiple sections within each one of these, so you can really drill down and give additional permissions to each one of your users. You'll notice right on the main page here, I do have a search box, and that search box will allow me to do any type of functionality within each one of these modules. So as on the main page here, I could begin the checkout process by either scanning a patron card or a student ID, or just typing in a patron's name. No matter which module I'm in, that search box will follow me. So you'll notice if I go to cataloging, that search box will be there, except now I'm going to search the catalog. If I hit my More drop-down menu up top, I'm going to have a drop-down of all the modules that I have access to that were on that first page. So you'll notice Koha gives you lots of options to easily access information no matter where you're at. So, if I wanted to go into that reports module, you'll notice again that search box is still there, but now I have access to my reports. You'll notice up here in the right-hand side of my screen, I have a help button. That's going to take me out to the Koha help manual. So no matter which module I'm in the system, if I click that help button, that will take me directly into the report section of my manual, where I have step-by-step instructions with screenshots on how to perform that particular duty. So a nice way for your users to take a quick look at something in the system. This black Koha logo in the upper left-hand corner will take me directly back to that home page so I can begin any type of functionality. Now, a few more things I want to highlight on this main page. Over on the left-hand side, you're going to see some news features, and that allows me to highlight any type of news or activity that's going on in the library, perhaps embedding a calendar, or even having links that go out to particular databases, or maybe Amazon if you're ordering from Amazon, or Baker and Taylor, Ingram, whatever it may be. As I scroll down a little bit further, you're also going to see anything that needs a pending approval. So those comments that may have been made in the OPAC, any purchase suggestions that have come in, so your staff can easily see anything that may need attention. So here's my suggestions that I can see that have come in, and then I can easily come in here and either approve or reject those, or assign them to a particular department. All right, so let's talk a little bit about circulation and the user experience for our patrons or customers. So again, I can either scan a barcode or I can type in the individual's name, and that will bring up a result where I can jump into the individual's account. On the left-hand side, I'm going to see the patron's account information, their contact information, their category, their home library, and any additional information. Over on the right-hand side, I'm going to see any fines and fees that they may have, any holds that are waiting for pickup, and then of course any messages that may have been left by another staff member. So here I can see that Tina left her Nalgene bottle on the circulation desk. As I scroll down, I can see any type of checkouts that this user has. So I can see here that she has 2 checkouts, one that's due on the 26th and one that's due on the 1st of June. I can see those titles, which are hyperlinked. Because Koha is web-based, I can open that in a new tab. So you can have multiple tabs open during the checkout or cataloging experience. So I can go in there and look at that information. Now that I'm looking at the account here, I can also see that that is checked out. Again, I have that integration with Novelist here as well. Also within the patrons account, you're going to be able to see any holds that they have. So I can do any type of management. Maybe they've called us up on the phone and said that, they were supposed to pick it up at the main branch, but they'd like to pick it up at the north branch. I can easily change that for them, and make that change for them in the staff client itself. Over here on the left-hand side, you're going to see a few tabs here that allow you to manage the patron's account. So the first one I'm going to point out is the accounting tab. This allows you to see any type of fines or fees or payments that the user needs to make. So right now I can see this individual has a new card fee of a $5 where I can collect the payment, or I can write it off. Some other ILSs call that forgiving fines, but this allows me to come in here and see that information. I have a transactions tab, which allows me to see the entire history of payments that this individual has made. So any type of payment for a lost item or an accruing fine or a write-off, I can see that whole history here. And this will maintain on your user's account until you decide to either clean it out, or maybe you only keep it for a rolling 5 years. Totally up to your library. You can keep it as long as you want. You'll notice over here on the right-hand side, you do have options. So you can print receipts, you can view the details of the transaction, so you can see the transacting librarian who processed it, and a little bit more information, like a link to that barcode, and any additional information about that transaction. You also have the option to void it. So if something did happen, their check bounced, or something happened, you do have an option to void that as well. Depending on your policy, you can see circulation history here. If you anonymize circulation history, of course you wouldn't see this, but if you do have it turned on, you'll be able to see that along with the holds history. As I scroll down a little bit further, you'll see that modification log. This will allow me to look at any type of transactions that have taken place on this user's account. So I can see the librarian who made the transaction, and then of course any additional information for what type of action took place, a return, a checkout, an update to the user's account. Two more things here that I want to point out. The first is going to be notices. So I can actually see any type of email or SMS or print or phone call that's gone out to this particular patron, along with the message that was sent, and the timestamp. So I can easily tell what's been sent. I can even resend it if the patron comes in and tells us that they haven't received it. The last thing I want to point out here is the purchase suggestion. So if a patron walks up to the front desk and would like to make a suggestion, you could do it right through their account. If they have, called on the phone or sent an email, again, you can connect it right to their account so it follows them throughout that whole process in the system. Creating patrons are really simple. You can come in here to the new patron dropdown and select your patron category. That will populate a form that you can fill out. You decide which fields are required during that migration process. So you can see that information here. We do have the option to connect children to a guarantor situation in here, and that's totally optional. You can set that information up, and then of course any additional address and contact information in the system. Also within the patrons module, you can easily search by a particular category. You could search for certain fields if you just knew what the email was, or if you wanted to verify an account by date of birth, you can absolutely do that. Let's talk a little bit about the technical services side of things. Cataloging can be done in multiple ways. You'll see here there's a built-in Z3950 server, which allows you to search targets within the system. You could add as many targets as you want. You can connect to OCLC, Sky River, or other various libraries that you may already be searching for. Koha can be connected to OCLC connection, allowing you to easily export records directly into Koha. Or you can use Koha's import tool, which allows you to import records that you may purchase from Baker & Taylor or Ingram or Brodart. That is done through the Tools module. The Tools module within Koha allows you to stage MARC records for import. So I can come in here and I can import a file of MARC records directly into the system itself, making it really easy to bring those records in. Now, also within the cataloging module, I can, of course, do some original cataloging. You'll notice when I want to create a new record, I have a drop-down menu. That allows me to select a framework. Think of a framework like a template. That allows me to specify which particular records use certain fields, subfields, what's mandatory, what's repeatable, what's visible on the staff side versus the OPAC. What you're looking at here is the advanced editor in Koha. Everything is keyboard driven, so I can tab through. I have keyboard shortcuts, which allow me to insert a delimiter or copy a certain field. I can change my settings, so I can change my text size and my text font. I can create macros. Think of macros like text string. So for RDA, for example, I could add my 336, my 337, and my 338, all from one click. I also have a built-in Z3950 server over here, which easily allows me to search not only my targets, but also my local catalog. Now, there is also a basic editor within Koha, and that is a little more mouse-driven. So this allows your user to see a full layout of the MARC record, starting with your 0 tab, which would take me from my leader all the way down to any local numbers. You know, of course, my 100s for any of my author information, title, descriptions, series, any types of notes or summaries, any authorities, and there's really nice integration to the authority module. So you'll notice here, if I want to come down and let's say add an authority, I can click my tag editor, which allows me to either search for an existing record in the system, which will allow me to add that directly, where I can choose, you know, that particular authority and attach it right to my record. Or I can come in here and actually search for a new authority record in either Library of Congress name or subject headings. So really nice integration there. Of course, then we have our 700s for any additional authors, our 800s for series information and any online resources, and then finally our 900s. In Koha, your 942 subfield C is going to be your Koha item type information, and then your 952s will be your item level information. Now, performing a cataloging search is very simple. This allows me to perform a search in the system, which will bring back a list of results. From here, I have an Actions drop-down menu on the right-hand side. This would allow me to preview the MARC of that record so I can see if it's what I'm looking for. I can get a quick card preview, and that's really similar to the ISBD view. I can edit the MARC record, or I can add and edit items. So let's take a look at that item record. The item record in Koha starts with statuses. So your 952 subfield 0, driving down to any type of collection codes and shelving locations in the system, acquisition information, and then of course like barcode and cost information and item type, and then your public and non-public note. You can easily add an item, add and duplicate, or add multiple copies, making adding in items really simple. Once your item is added into the collection, you'll be able to see that record on the back end, your holdings table. If it was processed through the acquisitions module, you'll be able to see that information down below. Over on the left-hand side, you're going to see things like your items information. This is great for circulation staff where they can easily change a loss status or a damage status. They can update a barcode if it's falling off. Here you can also see your holds. So if you want to place a hold for a patron, I can come over here, search for that patron's information, and actually place the hold right for them from this screen. You'll notice that when we do have the hold screen pulled up, I'm just going to add a couple in here so you can see what this looks like. If you have more than one individual on the hold list and you need to modify that, you do have control, if you have the permission, to move individuals up and down on the list. You can set their pickup location, you can cancel their hold request, and you can suspend it. So some nice functionality here on the back end. There's also a modification log for the cataloging module, and that would allow me to see any type of changes that were made to this particular record for an individual user. So you can see what type of changes were made by the catalogers. You can easily edit items in bulk, delete items, upload images, or replace the record via Z3950. This is a great option if you add order records into your collection or brief records when they first come out. So there's some nice functionality there. Let's talk a little bit more about those tools that we have in connection to our catalog. So there are options to batch delete items and records, and also batch modify items and records. So if you need to move them to a new location, or you just want to update specific fields within that record, you can absolutely do that. There's nice functionality for easily exporting data from your system. So if you have to send a report off to OCLC for your deleted titles, you can easily export or extract that list right from Koha itself. There is an inventory module, which allows you to easily run inventory in your collection. So either by uploading a file of barcodes that you've scanned, or essentially running a shelf list of what should be in that particular location, so you can go and verify what's actually on the shelf. There is a label creator that's built in, and that allows you to essentially create a layout for your labels, whether it's a barcode label, a label that goes on the front or the back of your item, or of course labels in batch. So some nice functionality there. Let's talk a little bit about serials management. So if you use a serials module or are interested in using serials, this is a way for you to track current subscriptions in your collection. So you can see here, I have a couple subscriptions that I can maintain in my serials module. Users can easily come in here and receive the serial once it's been created. This allows me to begin that process of receiving, where I can see the prediction pattern, when it was published, its expected date, and then under status, I can come in and select that arrived. And what that allows me to do is add my item information. So depending on if your serial circulates or not, you can create an item or not. You'll always have an option, of course, for that supplemental issue. And then once you're done, you can come in and save it. Once you've added that subscription in, you'll be able to see a little more information about my next expected issue, if it's expired, or I can go right into that particular subscription itself and begin that renewal process. Creating a subscription is very easy, and we'll go in and just take a look at that. Your first screen is going to walk you through the management of your vendor information, setting up if you create an item or not, and then entering information like the location, its item type, and its call number. The next screen is going to be all of your serial planning. So this allows you to come in and set up how often is it coming, what's its prediction pattern, and then it's, of course, is it a volume number issue, is it seasonal, quarterly, whatever it may be. Koha does have really nice functionality to search a MANA database, and that will allow you to look at other libraries to see what they have done for their prediction patterns, so you don't have to start from scratch. So this is a really nice way to just import those prediction patterns into your collection. Also within the serials module, we have a claims module, and that allows us to see anything that is late. You can either download a claims form, which will show you everything that's late, or you can send a notification right from Koha to a representative at your vendor. Next, let's talk a little bit about acquisitions. The acquisitions module has three basic functions. The first is going to be to maintain your fiscal year spending in your budget. So you can see the fiscal year budget. I can see the funds that are attributed to that budget. They could be either alphanumeric. You can even have child funds beneath your funds. So for example, here in media, you can see I have a media fund, and then it's broken down by compact discs and DVDs. I can see at any time what's been ordered and what's been spent, and then also what's available for that fund. If I click on a particular collection under that ordered, it'll take me in where I can see a breakdown of everything that's ordered. I have a link to that order number itself and the vendor, so I can quickly and easily go in there and see that information. Part two of the acquisitions module is the vendor management. So this allows me to come in and keep track of my vendors, including ordering information, vendor details, and any contacts that I may have. So here you can see I have my EDI specialist, my sales representative, and then the person that I contact for claims. So you can see here for claims, this will have the email address that that particular claim form will go to when I submit that. Part three of acquisitions is the actual ordering. Now, Koha is EDI or EDIFACT compliant, so we can work with your vendors to process ordering via EDI. So what it will do is you create the orders in Koha's acquisitions module, they get sent via FTP over to your vendor, and then once they're processed, that information is sent back to Koha. Now for non-EDI orders, you can create those records directly within Koha by adding to your basket. And there's multiple ways to do that. If you do get records from your vendor, you can bring in a file. You can create a new record using, of course, your Z3950 server, a suggestion that came in from a patron, or of course from an empty record, which would allow you to do original cataloging. Now, once that basket's created and closed out, and you're waiting for your subscription or your books to come into the system, once they are received at the library, then you can receive your shipment in Koha. And this allows you to go through, essentially enter your vendor invoice or packing slip, your shipping date, and then go through and essentially start to receive your items in the system. So this allows me to receive those items directly into the collection. At that point, I can update the item record. So my item record may say on order, which is a nice feature that would allow your patrons to place holds on things that are on order in the system. Once you have received those items, your invoice information will be updated in the system, where you can see any invoice that is attached to that particular record. And then you can go back and look at that received information. So then you can see the details on that invoice, any type of cost information, replacement cost, quantity, tax information if applicable, and then of course the fund that it is attributed to. You can easily print this out at any time if you need to send this to your fiscal or finance office, and that will include the invoice and vendor information, any type of shipping costs and funds, and of course those vendor details. Also within the acquisitions module, you can see any type of late orders. So Koha will mark things late based on the time in your vendor management. So like you can see here, one was ordered 75 days ago and still hasn't been received. So again, a nice way to easily go in and see kind of when things are late. You can also go back and search any type of old invoices if you need to print those out, and you can narrow down by date, of course, or even title in the collection. Let's talk a little bit about reports. Reports in Koha are run through SQL statements. There's two ways to run reports. So you can come in and do a guided report, and that would allow you to essentially walk through 6 steps. It'll ask you to select the type of report that you're wanting to run, and then, any additional information, how you want it formatted, the fields that you want, and so on. And then Koha will write that SQL statement for you. The other option is to actually come in and create it from SQL. So you may know how to write SQL, or you can actually search a Mana database. And what that will allow you to do is, let's say, enter in a keyword, and then you can see other reports that Koha libraries are using, and then you can see the report name, any type of notes about this particular report, and then you can actually import that report directly into your Koha system. Again, so you don't have to know, SQL. This allows you to bring it in. And once you create that report in the system, it goes into your saved library. So you can see here I have multiple saved tabs. So I can come in here, I can look at a report, I can run it manually, I can have reports scheduled to run, so if I want a certain report to run every Friday at, let's say, 3 p.m., I can easily set that up so it gets emailed to me every Friday. If I come in and manually run the report, this will allow me to come in and view that information. I can download it as a CSV or a text or an open document spreadsheet. I can even create a chart for this, for a pie, a bar, or a line chart in the system. So there's some really nice options there for your reports. There's also some other information that you can look at in the reports module. There's a reports library that's on the Koha wiki page. And again, this will show you some more reports that were written by either vendors or librarians, and they have shared that information with the community. And then, of course, the database schema. So here's where you can see all of the tables for your Koha system, and then how they connect to each other, and you can view all of that information. Finally, let's talk a little bit about administration. In Koha administration, the first thing you'll want to look at is your system preferences. Those are going to be a breakdown of all of your modules, and this is essentially where you're running things in your system. So for example, in acquisitions, this is where you're going to set up like your what your tax rates are, any type of information that goes out for claims, and ordering information. Circulation is where you're going to decide how things are checked in, what has override capabilities. Enhanced content is going to be things like Overdrive and Amazon integration, and things like that. Also in administration, this is where you will set up your item types. Think of item types like material types. That's what drives circulation in Koha. And then things like your circulation and fine rules and patron categories. So this is where I can set things up about my checkouts, my loan periods, hard due dates, and then renewals and automatic renewals and holds in the system. Also within administration, you have your cataloging administration. So setting up those frameworks. Think of them like templates, things like classification sources and matching rules. And then again, acquisitions, where I would set up any EDI information if I have EDI ordering, setting up your Z3950 targets and additional information. All right, I took us right to 50 minutes, so I'd like to leave about 10 minutes here for Q&A. If you have questions about the functionality in Koha or the migration period, or you want me to go into a little more detail, I'd be happy to answer those questions now. You can either use the chat box or the Q&A box to ask us questions. I will also say, if you're interested in seeing a particular section of Koha, or you want a more in-depth demo of the product, either Josh or Adam would be happy to set that up for you so you can see a little more information about a particular section. We'd be happy to do that. While we're waiting for some questions to come in. Also on our website, if you're interested, you can click on education and that will give you a really nice breakdown. We really push out a lot of contact information, content information about how to do things in Koha. We have an active YouTube channel where you can watch short videos on how to do things in the system. Okay, we have a question that came in. Talk to me about patron personal information and security. So sure, I can talk a little bit more in details. So depending on how your user logs into the system, once they're logged in, it's totally up to you what information they have access to in the system. So, you know, if you don't want them to have access to their personal details or see, you know, their reading history or search history, things like that, you can turn all of that off. You can have privacy turned off as well. So a lot of this functionality is up to you. If, you know, you don't want that personal information out there, you can absolutely do that. Now, as far as the staff side, you know, you can have turning off the visibility of the patron circulation information as well. Okay, more. Protecting patrons from hackers. Sure. So again, on the OPAC side, you have like password options. So like you can set up strong passwords, which would require them for that. Now, Carla, if you're getting into like hosting and like security, that kind of stuff, we have like a security document that our sales team can send you, and that talks about like what we do if we're hosting your system, and the security steps that we go through. We can absolutely share that with you. You got it. Yeah, absolutely. If we're hosting your system, we really go through a process of, we back up your system. So we have multiple backups. If something goes down, we have a backup of it. And then of course, like security, we use Let's Encrypt for SL encryption. So you have HTTPS access on both of your OPAC and your staff side as well. Okay, let's see, we have another question in the Q&A. For academic institutions with business offices, does the acquisitions module work with sending invoices, accepting payments to and from them? So what I can say about that is it depends what your business office is using. So Koha can absolutely send reports, either FTP or via email, to another location. So we can set up like a report that runs that would have like order information, fund information, invoice information, and that can be emailed directly to an individual in the business office, or you can have something sent via an FTP connection. So, you know, it just depends on what the business office is using, and we can have, again, one of our sales guys reach out to you if you want to share that information with them. We can let you know if we've worked with that, you know, software in the past, because we do have lots of libraries that we connect with. Are there other questions I can answer? Well, okay. Well, thank you again for joining us today. We have recorded this session. We will send it out to any of the attendees that have registered. So if you want to share it with staff, please do so. And if you have any other questions, please don't hesitate to contact us. We'd be happy to do a more in-depth demo of a particular area in Koha, whether it's the staff side or the OPAC. And if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask. We're here to answer any additional questions. Take care, everybody, and stay safe. Thanks for joining us today.